Hey, Pastor Steve Waldron. I hope you're having a great day or night in Jesus. Thank you so much for being with us. We're on Textus, receptusbibles.com. Little article, what is the Textus Receptus? Now, longtime listeners, you may have been saying, but I think you've done a few videos on that before. I have. I like to get different perspectives. Some of the resources we use will have some things, different perspectives. So also with this, I'll make some comments around, just because we're using this particular one, don't say, but what aboutism, but you forgot, but what about, those are usually covered in the other videos on the subject. So let's get started. Thanks for being here. Do join us daily and check out our playlist here. Okay, so what's the Textus Receptus? The Textus Receptus, that's just a Latin word, by the way, is the name given to a series of Byzantine-based Greek texts of the New Testament printed between 1500 and 1900. So the first question people have, where was the Textus Receptus before 1500? It was being in use all around the world by Christians. So the name, and we're going to get into that. The name Textus Receptus was first used to refer to the editions of the Greek New Testament published by, and this says the Elsevier brothers. That is incorrect. It's an uncle and nephew in 1633, but I've seen a lot of people make that mistake. The name has been retrospectively applied to all the printed Greek text of the same Byzantine text type. Now we have to realize you have the 1453 conquering of Constantinople, Byzantium, and this is the Bible of the East, which comes to us from the apostles. Remember where so much of apostolic fervor was Turkey, believe it or not. Read who Peter wrote 1st and 2nd Peter to. Read the book of Galatians, who Galatia is to. Read many of Paul's missionary journeys. You'll see that. Also, they have found in archaeology from the hundreds AD, underground city, multiple underground cities of Christians from those times. The Christians weren't still there, but they know from the various things and iconography and stuff. And one that would hold 60,000 to 65,000 people. The church really went underground. So the Textus Receptus was established on the Byzantine text type, also called the majority text. Now, there is a specific majority text, and so sometimes those terms are conflated, sometimes not. So, which represents over 90% of the 5,800 plus Greek manuscripts of the New Testament still in existence today. So that's a very important point, that almost every Greek manuscript represents the Textus Receptus, or an extremely close facsimile of the Textus Receptus. Many of them were done before the printing press, but some before, after. Textus Receptus contains a translation base for the first Greek translation of the New Testament into English, because it was outlawed before then for a half a millennium, basically by William Tyndale, and is the textual base for the Bishop's Bible, the Geneva Bible, and the King James Bible. I did want to say, it's not just all about Greek. There were many hundreds of languages in the early church that had Bible translations. When a people group got the gospel, they got it translated in their language. And you can show that from the New Testament, done that in other videos. Textus Receptus was published by Desiderius Erasmus in his 1516 edition of the Greek New Testament, Novum Instrumentum Omni. Now, I do want to mention as well the Complutensian Polyglot by Cardinal Ximenes was Textus Receptus as well in the 15 teens. Textus Receptus was refined by Robert Estienne Stephanus in 1550. Textus Receptus further refined by Theodore Beza in 1598. Again, edited by F.H.A. Scribner in 1881. It's got a little box here. It says Textus Receptus strongly upholds Christian faith. That is true. That's why Westcott and Hort, who one of them called it the vile Textus Receptus, called it something to the effect of the ecclesiastical text, because it said it was filled with conflations of majesty, that it was constantly making Jesus greater than he really is, and all of this. And so Textus Receptus is not corrupted by the deletions, additions, and amendments of the minority text. And it's not done by what people would call minorities. It's called minority text because there's very few texts, and they don't agree amongst themselves in thousands of places. Textus Receptus agrees with the earliest versions of the Bible, such as the Peshitta, 150 AD, Old Latin Vulgate 157, and the Italic AD 157. Textus Receptus agrees with the vast majority of the citations from the Scripture by the early church fathers. I don't like that phraseology because Jesus said to call no man father, and a lot of them had some heresies there. It has now been calculated that there are more than 1 million quotations by these New Testament writers. I mean, that's incredible. So these early Christian writers come from as early as the late 1st century on through the Middle Ages. The Textus Receptus is untainted with Egyptian philosophy, heresies, and unbelief. I'm still totally shocked, when I was first growing up in textual criticism. I'm 58 now, in my teens, early 20s, into my mid-20s, probably maybe until my 20s. It was always said the early church fathers never quoted from the Byzantine text, Textus Receptus. But a man in the late 1800s, William Dean Burgon, had gone through like 86,000 quotations and shown that to be categorically not true, but I still see it today. And I still, like, people that are supposed to be like stunning scholars in this, they use circular reasoning. They're like, well, yeah, sure, there's thousands of places where it seems like they do, just like there's thousands of places that seems like the papyri agree with the Textus Receptus, but since the Textus Receptus didn't exist then, it couldn't have agreed with the Textus Receptus. See, just circular reasoning there. So the Textus Receptus is untainted with Egyptian philosophy, heresies, and unbelief. Erasmus did not invent the Textus Receptus, but simply collated a collection of what had already been the vast majority of New Testament manuscripts in the Byzantine tradition. And I hope to do a video here in the very near future that really shows all the manuscripts Erasmus had, because one of the things, he only had 5 manuscripts. Come on, study. That's not true. I had a friend of mine, he got very upset. I'd say, well, no, that's just not true. That's a lie. Oh, you're calling a brother a liar. And I'm just like, fall in love with truth. I wasn't calling the person a liar. They just lied a lot. The vast majority of New Testament manuscripts in the Byzantine tradition, because I don't think they were mistaken. I think it's deliberate. The first Greek New Testament to be collated was the Complutensian Polyglot in 1514, but it was not published till 8 years later. Erasmus was the second Greek New Testament collated and was printed in 1516. So there we have the Textus Receptus in a nutshell, like it be said. So it says 1500, 1900, but it's actually over 90% of all Greek manuscripts dating way back with quotations into the 1st century. So God bless you. Mormon does a good job with that too, Jack Mormon, in his authorized version, Early Church Fathers. God bless. Thanks for being here. Talk with you later. Bye-bye.